5 months pregnant. I suffered a severe hemorrhage and lost consciousness. Adrian promised to save our child, yet he assigned his first love, Stella, to perform my surgery. Upon waking from anesthesia, I learned that along with our child, I had also lost an ovary. Adrian held me, his eyes red, murmuring apologies. He then presented a document, asking me to sign a medical malpractice release for Stella. Stella didn't do it intentionally. She's still in her residency. I blinked, disoriented, and asked, "Who are you?" My semi-conscious state amplified sound. The young doctor's trembling voice reached me. "Adrian, I'm a little scared." Adrian's gentle reassurance followed. "Don't be afraid. I trust you." I fought to open my eyes and saw him holding Stella's hand, his gaze filled with care. Adrian was the only one qualified to sign my surgery consent. "What's the cruelest thing done to you in the name of love? Tell me below." First, the heart breaks, then, karma breaks them. Could I still trust him? Before losing consciousness completely, I reassured myself, believing he wouldn't toy with our child's fate. "We're deeply sorry, but the baby could not be saved." Head nurse Evans delivered the surgical outcome. "And also," she said sympathetically, "Dr. Stella removed one of your ovaries, but please don't be too disheartened. You still have a 50% chance of conception." The baby was gone. Surgery failure. A deafening buzz filled my mind for over a minute. Then Adrian entered with Stella, holding my hand, his eyes red, repeating, "I'm sorry." Stella gently tugged at Adrian's collar. A flicker of guilt crossed Adrian's face. Regarding the lost ovary, Stella thought it might be cancerous. Stella stepped forward, tears streaming. "I didn't want you to miss out on treatment, so I just removed it." A sharp pain surged from my incision. I instinctively lifted my hand. Adrian immediately pulled Stella behind him, his gaze warily fixed on me. It hasn't been easy for Stella to reach this point in her career. I looked at them, bewildered. "Could I request an extra pain pump from the nurse? Could you assist with that?" I asked, looking around with feigned curiosity. "And, you too, is this a short drama?" They exchanged surprised glances. Stella cried harder. "Miss Clara, please state any requests you have. I will not evade responsibility." The more she cried, the more impatient Adrian became. He thrust a pen into my hand. "Trust me, be good. I promise I won't let you suffer. If you lack the strength, I'll sign for you." Suddenly, anger consumed me. "You are no one to me, so why are you making decisions for me? I've tolerated you for far too long." Adrian said, "I am your husband, Clara. I understand you're upset, but can you please stop creating a scene?" I widened my eyes. "Are you mad? When did I get married? Besides, it wouldn't be you anyway. Leo hasn't even proposed to me yet." I couldn't be bothered to argue further. Turning, I asked head nurse Evans, "Oh, by the way, my boyfriend is Leo. Do you know him? He comes from a medical family, quite prominent." Adrian's face turned ashen. "Clara, is this some kind of game for you?" Head nurse Evans stepped in front of me, her expression grave. "Please have Professor Hayes come here. Miss Clara's condition is not right." Stella's face paled and she rushed out. "I'll go call him." Adrian's expression softened. I pursed my lips, my hand instinctively reaching for my phone. Head nurse Evans, however, informed me my phone was already crushed. I adamantly resisted any examination, confident my mind was sound. Adrian had no choice but to retrieve the marriage certificate and a wedding video. After a series of tests, the diagnosis was probable selective amnesia. I was stunned. The hospital arranged psychological counseling for me for a week. However, whenever I saw Adrian, I felt nothing but irritation. Accepting I was married was difficult enough. My husband not being Leo made it infuriating. On discharge, I eagerly requested a divorce. Adrian packed my belongings, saying gently, "Let's go home first and recover. We can discuss other matters later." I scoffed. "Hypocritical. You just want me to sign the malpractice release to save your first love, don't you? It won't be that easy." Losing the child didn't anger me as much as losing an ovary. I was furious. Adrian wearily rubbed his temples. "Clara, this isn't her fault. If it weren't for me, Stella wouldn't have gone out of her way to do this." I stared at him, shocked. During my 2-week hospital stay, gossip from doctors and nurses pieced together Adrian and Stella's narrative. How could someone be so shameless? How could I have been so blind as to choose such a man? "Has your audacity always been this immense?" I asked. Adrian asked. "What?" I couldn't conceal my disgust. "Treating your wife and child's lives as experiments for your intern lover, then expecting apologies to absolve her. You call her benevolent. Your mouth and sphincter are reversed. You're a kidney stone come to life. Vulgar and irritating." Adrian's face turned ashen. he finally broke. If it weren't for your interference, Stella and I would have been married long ago. This child was merely your tactic to manipulate me. Besides, aren't you the primary culprit? Why weren't you resting at home? I rolled my eyes. If you knew you were going to cheat, why didn't you castrate yourself first? You think I forced you into marriage and manipulated you with the child? How absurd. I still need to investigate how you separated me and Leo. He possesses excellent upbringing and impeccable manners. Counting on my fingers, the more I thought, the more suspicious my marriage to Adrian became. Adrian's face flushed red as he angrily slammed the steering wheel. Clara, temporary amnesia is no excuse for you to overreact and be unreasonable. I scrutinized him, shaking my head. I truly cannot believe I chose you as my husband. You are not even a fraction of what Leo is. I rolled down the window, fanning myself, wanting to distance myself from him. Adrian floored the accelerator, the car shooting forward. Faster. There's a red light ahead. Then turn right. It's the Civil Affairs Bureau. Adrian was enraged. Clara, do I need to remind you that you used my mother's surgery to extort money? You bribed people, and even to break us up. You stuffed a pillow under your shirt to find Stella. Goosebumps rose on my skin. You don't deserve such tactics. Those would be better suited for pursuing Leo. Adrian glared, wanting to devour me. Are you still hung up on that guy named Leo? Yes, I am. He closed his eyes. Heh, Clara, if this is your way of exacting revenge, slap. I slapped him. No amount of venomous words could contend with such a narcissistic man. Why all the fuss about a divorce? Since you claim I forced you into marriage, now that I have amnesia, get a divorce and be with your doctor. Aren't you afraid I'll remember and break you up again? I looked at him like an imbecile. Adrian's jaw clenched. I'm afraid you'll regret it when you've recovered. The car sped through red lights toward home. Adrian's justification was that divorcing me now would be taking advantage of my condition. Even after arriving home, my anger hadn't subsided. Hypocrite. If you were truly responsible, would you have let me attend prenatal checkups alone while you accompanied your first love? When I was in critical condition, you knowingly allowed your inexperienced lover to operate on me. What? Was my child's life also part of your elaborate game? A flicker of pain crossed Adrian's eyes. The following day, after obtaining a new phone SIM card, I immediately contacted Maya. Whether it was medical malpractice or divorce asset division, I needed a professional. And then there was Leo. Adrian insisted he was a figment of my imagination, a manifestation of my trauma, but I refused to believe it. Maya was in another province. We were meeting in 3 days. At the cafe, I eagerly asked, Maya, after my car accident and miscarriage, I lost my memory. Tell me, did I really have a boyfriend named Leo before marriage? Also, this claim that I pursued Adrian, that can't be true. You know me, how could I be so short-sighted? Maya stared, processing. After a long moment, she said with difficulty, Clara, we actually haven't seen each other for 5 years. My heart leaped. I opened my mouth, a dull ache throbbing in my head. I had always believed I'd forgotten everything related to Adrian. Maya's expression was complex. At that time, you suddenly announced your marriage, then became reclusive. You said you fell in love with Adrian at first sight. I immediately became agitated, recounting Adrian allowing Stella to operate, failing to save the fetus and causing me to lose an ovary. She gasped and slammed the table. I'll take this case. I won't rest until I sue these 2 scumbags into bankruptcy and prison. Maya took a sip of coffee, looking at me with mixed emotions. However, are you absolutely sure you want to burn that bridge? You kept Adrian so hidden. Not only did you not have a wedding, but you didn't even share photos. Anyone who objected, you threatened to sever ties. Now it was my turn to gasp. She shrugged. Well, I want to help you. I don't want you to change your mind later and blame me. I was so angry I nearly knocked over my coffee. If I hadn't wanted to let him off easily, I would have forced him to divorce me at the hospital. I swore, made her record my statement, and signed a guarantee. Maya sighed. Clara, after you lost your memory, you've become much more like a normal person. She added that I'd been acting like a lovesick fool. I was so embarrassed I wanted to bury myself. Our reunion rekindled our friendship. We chatted all night. Maya got completely inebriated, her speech slurred. When I tried to inquire about Leo, she just giggled and asked me to find 10 escorts for her. I had to escort her to a hotel. Miss Clara, you broke up Stella and me back then, and I never blamed you. Now, because Adrian gave me an opportunity to practice, you're going to ruin my medical career. Maya and I had been gathering evidence for days, while Adrian evaded the topic of divorce. Stella, however, grew impatient. Accompanied by her manipulative mother, she ambushed me at my doorstep during rush hour. dramatically weeping. Stella's mother declared, "It's true. It's so difficult to raise a medical doctor. You will face divine retribution for destroying her future." Seeing neighbors pause, I frowned. Maya intervened. "Let me handle this. I haven't been a lawyer for years for nothing." She slapped the mother and daughter. As Mrs. Day froze, Maya bellowed, "What's with all your teeth? Are you spewing nonsense? Do you dare tell everyone how your daughter, by sleeping with a scumbag, murdered someone's baby and removed their ovary? I will bring her down." Mrs. Day, witnessing the gasps, collapsed, wailing, "This is slander." Clara was bleeding profusely. The baby couldn't be saved. If my daughter hadn't intervened, she might not have survived. As for removing the ovary, she believed it was cancerous and removed it to assist. I believe Clara, unable to hold on to her man, is seeking revenge. Stella knelt, her face pale, tears tracing paths down her cheeks. What a picture of innocence. Maya stared, enraged, but the elder's cunning prevailed. Under Mrs. Day's relentless arguments, Maya was outmaneuvered. I sneered and stepped forward. "Dr. Stella, you claim you acted out of kindness. Then why didn't you remove my appendix and instead chose my ovary?" Just then, someone stepped in front of Stella, frowning. "Clara, I've already explained this to you. If you're unhappy, come directly to me. There's no need to harass Stella." I stared at Adrian, who rushed over as her protector. "Do you comprehend what happens to a woman who loses an ovary?" Adrian coldly helped Stella up, believing I was making unreasonable demands. "I will age prematurely. My skin will become rough. My hair will fall out. My body will become temperamental due to estrogen depletion. I will be irritable, restless, and prone to insomnia. A woman in her 20s will start experiencing menopause." Maya exclaimed a curse. Adrian's expression shifted. I looked coldly at Stella. A woman who cannot bear children, losing her beauty and becoming ill-tempered. Her marriage is bound to fail. It's the perfect opportunity for you to step in, isn't it? I suspected this was Stella's true motive. Someone shouted, "This tactic is too insidious and malicious." Indeed, this isn't just ruining a marriage, it's destroying a person's life. Stella argued loudly, her face losing color, clinging to Adrian. "Adrian, believe me, I truly didn't." Maya was furious, vowing to make her pay. Stella, cornered, shouted, "I did accidentally remove one of your ovaries, but I had your family's consent." Adrian abruptly turned to look at her. Stella seemed to have found a lifeline. "Adrian, don't you remember? She was unconscious then, and only you had the authority to make decisions. I consulted you, didn't I?" She blinked frantically. Adrian slowly looked at me, guilt and conflict in his expression. "Stella did ask for my input. I agreed because I didn't want you to endure another abdominal surgery," he gritted out. I shook my head in disappointment. Even knowing the irreversible harm, he still chose to testify for his first love. "Did you know that if head nurse Evans hadn't intervened, Stella would have removed my other ovary too?" Maya's jaw dropped. I hadn't shared this detail. Head nurse Evans had extracted a promise not to testify. First, the hospital wouldn't allow it. Second, the key rested with Adrian. As long as Adrian protected Stella and confirmed her asking his opinion, I could get compensation, but imprisonment would be difficult. I wanted to see Adrian's decision now. Stella trembled, biting her lip, her pleading gaze fixed on Adrian. Adrian understood everything. After a long silence, "This is my fault, Clara. I will compensate you, as much as I can afford." He lowered his eyes. I smiled crisply. "Then, divorce me immediately, and you walk away with nothing, with Maya present." We quickly finalized the divorce. We immediately went to the Civil Affairs Bureau and got the divorce certificate. Everything happened with unbelievable speed. I smiled at Adrian. "Your career is developing well. With you supporting Stella, she won't have her future ruined. I believe you'll both live happily ever after." He, disinherited and financially ruined, banned from medicine, and she, a perfect match. Stella glared resentfully. Adrian walked closer, his expression complex. Words stuck. Maya slapped him hard. "Divorced and still playing devoted lover. Don't tell me you think Anya still can't let you go. You might have resembled Leo, but without that resemblance, you're nothing." I was startled. This was the first time Maya mentioned Leo, explaining why she looked at my marriage certificate thoughtfully. Adrian grabbed her. "What did you say? You were just a substitute from beginning to end. Understand, back home." I stared intently at Maya. "Leo really existed." She took my hand. "That's all I can say. The doctor said you can't be stimulated further, and even if you remembered, it wouldn't necessarily be a good thing." My heart fluttered. I pleaded, "Maya, tell me, I can handle it. Did Leo die?" I had prepared for the worst. Maya's eyes welled up. She smiled, patting my forehead. Silly girl, what are you thinking? What if he just dumped you? Later, no matter how much I begged, she refused to say another word. To celebrate your escape from that scumbag, I've signed you up for a free travel group. Don't waste my kindness. A few days later, she put me on a plane. I'm not one to dwell on things. Traveling lifted my spirits. After the free travel ended, I decided to keep moving forward. On a rainy night, I found shelter at a mountain temple. That night, I dreamt of Adrian. I met him during campus recruitment. He was a poor, handsome young man with eyes resembling Leo's. For that reason alone, I helped him. As a senior executive, I invited him to intern. My classmates laughed, calling him my benefactor. His face flushed, but he accepted. Afterwards, I learned he had a girlfriend preparing to go abroad, and he couldn't offer her what she wanted. Months later, his mother fell seriously ill. Without hesitation, I emptied my savings. He hugged me, promising to treat me well. Only I knew Adrian didn't love me. We needed each other, and that was fair. I treated Adrian exceptionally well, almost irrationally, as if compensating for something. My family and friends advised against my impulsivity, but I ignored them, cutting off everyone for Adrian. Adrian was smart and ambitious, quickly surpassing me. Like couples, we followed the path: marriage, pregnancy. Yet, I always felt I had forgotten something important. In the dream's final moments, it was the day of the car accident. Going for a prenatal checkup alone, I encountered a woman at a traffic light. Miss Clara, what a coincidence. Oh, you're almost due, aren't you? I nodded. It seems Dr. Vance's hypnosis was very effective. Do you still remember Leo? My head throbbed violently, followed by a loud crash and the woman's scream. My world became chaotic. I woke up in a cold sweat. At that moment, I finally remembered Adrian. Unfortunately, Leo remained a black hole in my memory. Whenever I thought about the possibility he might no longer be alive, my heart ached. Just as I stopped obsessing over the truth and decided to let things unfold naturally, I saw Leo, or rather, someone who looked exactly like Leo, amidst the pilgrims. Our eyes met briefly. He seemed startled, then politely nodded. Pulled by his assistant, he walked past me. My feet moved uncontrollably, following him. My heart was gradually submerged by a bittersweet foam. I watched him invited into the inner courtyard by the abbot. Unable to contain my excitement, I approached his assistant. Excuse me, that gentleman looks familiar. Is his surname Leo? No, the assistant replied. Her gaze was that of a stalker. I apologized and looked back at the figure inside, regrettably thinking it was probably not him. Back in my room, while calling Maya, I mentioned this. Maya asked for photos. I chose one showing his face clearest and sent it. After a long while, Maya asked, "So, do you want to pursue him?" I gave a bitter smile. No, one Adrian is enough. I didn't want to substitute anymore. Touching the scar on my abdomen, I thought this might be my retribution. The next day, leaving the mountain, it snowed heavily, blocking the road. The traffic jam lasted 10 hours. Traveling lightly, I had run out of supplies and was starving. To make matters worse, my period, absent since surgery, decided to make an appearance. Shamelessly, I borrowed supplies from a lady and trudged into the snow, into the woods. By the time I returned, I was sweating profusely from the pain. Through the trees, I could see an endless line of stationary cars. As the road wasn't clearing, I decided to rest. 2 young men walked past me. As their remarks became flirtatious, I encountered Leo again. While debating asking for help, he had taken off his long military coat and looked at me. "Why did you take so long? Come here." His voice was warm and familiar. My eyes welled up. "Okay." Just then, a man with yellow hair spoke. "Miss, weren't you alone? What? Are you looking down on us?" Their eyes flickered between me and Leo. Had these 2 men been targeting me? Leo's expression darkened, and he walked towards me, draping his coat over me. He chuckled nonchalantly. "So what if I am?" The men were prepared, knives under their coats. I feigned annoyance, pushed him, and took out my phone. Opening my gallery, I scrolled through countless photos of me and Leo. I was grateful I'd found my old phone and transferred the pictures. "Do you believe me now? We're playing a game of chase. And thank you for making him show himself." The men blinked, their challenging gaze replaced by smiles. "Indeed, thank you. So, you caught him. Should you give him a kiss?" The men jeered. Leo's eyes turned cold. I lunged towards him, tiptoed, wrapped my arms around his neck, and kissed him. In the snowy forest, the familiar pine scent made me freeze. My tongue pried open his lips. The man froze, his eyes widening slightly. His hoarse voice reached me. They're gone. My ear tips turned red. Sorry. It was an emergency. A faint awkwardness lingered. The man's dark eyes looked at me. Actually, you didn't need to sacrifice yourself like that. Perhaps it was his appearance, but his words were Leo's humor and understanding. My affection surged. No sacrifice. No sacrifice. I'm the one who gained. As our eyes met, we burst into laughter. A car horn signaled the road clearing. The cars moved, and I lost sight of the tour bus. His assistant pulled his car over, flashing headlights. Is your luggage on the bus? He asked. It's okay. I patted my carry-on. He opened the car door. Then let's take my car and discuss it in the city. I thanked him profusely. Traveling alone, being targeted, I didn't want to be separated from him again. The female assistant wasn't pleased, snorting softly. What is your surname, sir? I asked. My surname is he. He coughed lightly, knowing I was unwelcome. I sat obediently. Just then, he pressed a button, and a privacy screen rose. Did you get hurt just now? He suddenly asked. No, but I seem to smell blood. I'll take you to the hospital later. My face turned bright red as I hugged the military coat. No, I mumbled. How strange. His keen sense of smell was like Leo's. I glanced up at him, shame and indignation in my eyes. Then his ear tips slowly turned red. Several hours later, he broke the silence. What did you show those two men? Judging by their tone, they didn't just target you on impulse. I bravely replied. It was when I was taking landscape photos, and I accidentally captured you. He responded with a soft, oh, and you? Why did you happen to come over too? That forest is quite large. I asked. I got out to get some air. I saw you rush in, and then those two men got out nervously. I was worried something might happen to you. Upon arriving at the hotel lobby, we had to part ways. Let's exchange WeChat. I'll send you those photos, I said shamelessly. He readily took out his phone. I'm Clara. Please save me with that name. I typed. He gave me a helpless smile and headed towards the front desk. After checking in, their backs disappeared into the elevator. I walked out in a daze. Just then, my phone chimed. It was from the newly added contact, Leo. I froze, my fingers trembling violently. Regaining my senses, I turned and ran back like a madwoman. Professor Wynne no longer remembers you. Can you stop bothering him? He finally woke up from a vegetative state, so please let him go. The female assistant blocked me. Besides, you're a married woman who's had a miscarriage. How dare you come crawling back? I was stunned. Just then, the door opened. Assistant Chen, you've gone too far. Leo stood at the doorway, his lips pursed. But am I wrong? She's like a jinx. You almost got into danger again because of her, the assistant said excitedly. I stumbled backward. My head throbbed violently. Oh, Leo died. A large truck was hurtling towards us. He turned the steering wheel, giving the hope for survival to me. My last memory was him turning and hugging me tightly, shielding me with his back. I widened my eyes, warm blood splattering my face. A month later, I finally woke up from my coma. All that awaited me was a solitary post on his social media, an obituary by his mother. Unwilling to give up, I searched for him everywhere, but there was no news in China. I developed severe depression and needed a therapist, until I met Adrian. So this was the cruel truth hidden within my memories. Leo died because of me. My eyes went black, and I lost consciousness. I woke up in the early hours of the morning. Adrian was sitting beside me, engrossed in my phone, filled with thousands of photos and videos of us. My body instinctively recoiled. The photos are photoshopped. No, he interrupted. Have you remembered everything? I asked incredulously. He looked at me steadily, his eyes softening, and nodded. I stared for 3 seconds. Then I rushed forward to hug him, bursting into tears. You big liar. You scared me to death. Still so boisterous. Leo said with a helpless shake of his head. Not at all. I mumbled. In the years I was amnesiac. No one loved or protected me like Leo did. I lived like a meek lamb, bullied relentlessly. On the day I was flying back, Maya called. She said that after divorcing me, Adrian didn't get together with Stella. Stella was also fired from the hospital, with no institution willing to hire her. He didn't care about your life or death for his first love. And now he's not satisfied. Does he just love being a Romeo between two women? Maya warned me repeatedly. If you dare to soften your heart towards him, we're done. Looking at Leo beside me, I smiled. No. After hanging up, Leo squeezed my palm. Aren't you going to tell her I'm back? I winked. I want to give her a surprise. On the way, he asked about the surgery accident, his expression growing somber. It's okay. If it weren't for this, our divorce wouldn't have happened so quickly, I said indifferently. He pressed my head against his chest. I cherished our hard-won reunion, wanting to spend every second twice over. I became like Leo's shadow, the female assistant, likely displeased, parted ways with us midway. As he saw the assistant off, Leo suddenly asked, "Do you love me that much?" I rolled my eyes. "Yes, I'm so beautiful, aren't I?" He chuckled. Arriving back in Haicheng, Leo settled me in before heading to the hospital, the same hospital where I had my accident. "Be good, wait for me." He patted my head. I held his sleeve. "Leo, actually, I'll handle it," he said with a cold gaze before turning to leave. I watched his retreating back inside. Maya walked over, raising an eyebrow. "What? Are you afraid he'll fall out with his uncle after Stella's surgical accident?" Professor Hayes, Leo's uncle, treated me. The Wen family had shares in that hospital. I chose Stella's private settlement rather than court. Besides Adrian's unwavering support for Stella, the hospital pressured me to downplay the incident. My sole focus was to divorce Adrian. Now, as long as the hospital cooperates and Adrian changes his testimony. Maya's eyes gleamed. I chuckled. "You're thinking too optimistically." Just as I spoke, Adrian's call came through. 3 months later, Adrian and I met at a cafe. After reuniting with Stella, he seemed less energetic. His confidence diminished. Gone was the assertiveness he had when confronting me. "I've been looking for you all these months," he said with difficulty. "In the study, I found a stack of your medical records. As your husband, I met with Dr. Vance." My eyes widened slightly. Dr. Vance was my psychologist after Leo disappeared. No one understood my situation better than she did. Adrian chuckled self-deprecatingly. "So, you actually liked me because of another man." He rubbed his face. "If that car accident hadn't happened, if that surgery hadn't failed, what would have become of us? Clara, you made me believe we still had a chance. Just recently, we were even looking forward to our child's arrival together." His words held regret and accusation. It was as if he was blaming me for leaving so quickly. I watched him quietly. 5 years of marriage had left their mark. For the first few years, we hadn't decided to have children. Then, 3 years later, he suddenly hugged me. "Clara, let's have a child." Looking into his eyes, I couldn't help but say, "Okay." We built a nursery, planned for the child, and envisioned our future. I didn't know if Adrian's intentions were sincere, but I always knew he didn't love me. His heart belonged to his unrequited first love. I also knew his emotional baggage. When he and Stella were on shaky ground, my appearance caused them to break up, going their separate ways. Clara, might have been seen as taking advantage. Adrian needed opportunities and money. He couldn't refuse me. When Stella had her accident, he lumped me in with himself. A sinner owing Stella compensation. After atoning for his sins with Stella, he then remembered me. It seemed behind every woman in his life, there was the shadow of another woman. But what did that matter? So, I couldn't understand what Adrian was telling me now. "Adrian, my intentions towards you were premeditated. Yours towards me were exploitative. Since our motives were impure, why strive for a happy ending?" A soft beep came from outside the window. Leo's car had pulled over, and he waved at me. I got up to bid Adrian farewell. Adrian also stood up and grabbed me. "Clara, if there hadn't been an accident, would you have aborted the child and divorced me?" I didn't answer. I know I won't get an answer, nor am I qualified to ask, but I truly regret it now. He looked out at Leo. "I can no longer make the you who fell in love with him again fall in love with me." Adrian didn't contact me again. He had his pride. The Stella malpractice case went to court a month later. With the push from Leo and Maya, I saw Adrian again in the courtroom. To everyone's surprise, as a witness for the defense, he flatly denied that Stella had ever asked him for permission to remove an ovary during the surgery. "The signature on the ovarian removal surgery consent form is not mine," Adrian added. Stella shrieked loudly. The defense lawyer shook his head in disappointment. Stella's family's signature on the form had been her last resort. Maya and I exchanged bewildered glances. We never expected Stella to be so daring. At this point, the head nurse stepped forward, recounted the surgical process, and clearly explained that Stella had insisted on removing the patient's other ovary without pathological testing. Fortunately, she had been stopped, with facts laid bare, and without Adrian's protection. Stella's vengeful intent was undeniable. She glared at me resentfully, then at Adrian, who was lowering his head in silence. The judge ruled that Stella was stripped of her medical license and sentenced to 8 years in prison. Stella, her face deathly pale, collapsed onto the defendant's bench. Maya and I emerged from the courthouse refreshed. Professor Hayes stopped me. "Miss Clara, may I have a word?" I was surprised and left with him. A few minutes later, I bid farewell to Professor Hayes with a grim expression. Just then, I saw Leo getting out of a car. His expression was anxious, his steps hurried. "What did he say to you?" He tightly held my hand, visibly nervous. I stared at him. "He said that the hospital's reputation has been damaged this time, and he wants me to help him at his hospital." He breathed a sigh of relief. In the place he couldn't see, my eyes welled up with tears, but I was smiling. "Miss Clara, I'm sure Leo's memory hasn't been restored. For him to fall in love with you again, I think there's no reason for me and all the Wen family members to stop you." This was what Professor Hayes said to me. "As for whether to expose that brat or not, it's up to you." I thought about it. It didn't seem necessary. After all the trials and tribulations, all we needed was to enjoy the present. May our future be peaceful and smooth. Who decided that being kind meant being silent? If you've ever had to silence your own voice to keep the peace, or dim your light so others could feel bright, let me know in the comments that you're done playing small. Your truth has a right to take up space, and their karma is long overdue. Subscribe to Red Karma for more stories of unapologetic power. It's your turn to write the ending.